Welcome to our International Affairs series. I am Ritu Sharma, welcoming you on behalf of Ensemble on Issues and Analysis series. We have the privilege to have our chief mentor Siddharth sir, a geostrategic thinker who will enlighten us on India's position in Indian Ocean. Don't you think that India has squandered the huge advantage it had in Indian Ocean to China? What are the advantages India had in relation to China and its present position?
India has a lot of advantage over China as far as the maritime geostrategy and maritime positioning is concerned. One of them is China faces Japan and Korea in its waterfront. That means anything that goes on to emanate from China will go on to find these two countries as part of its maritime borders, because Japan and Taiwan as well as Korea, both of them go on to border that part. Moreover, the entire Chinese coastline is littered with a lot of islands. If you contrast and compare that with India, India does not have any island which can go on to pose any type of a threat to it. First, India goes on to protrude some 2000 kilometers out into the sea in the form of a peninsula. The second is India has a lot of islands that go on to be a part of the whole of the strategic security aspect of the country. That includes Lakshadweep, that includes Andaman and Nicobar, which is barely 24 kilometers away from Java, Sumatra and the East Indian region. The third is, if India wants to test any type of missile, it has the whole of Indian Ocean that lies in front of it. China hasn't got that position at all. So, from a strategic point of view, from a geopolitical angle, India is in a far better position in comparison to China. However, India has squandered its advantage in Indian Ocean.
How has India squandered its position in Indian Ocean region?
China is rapidly increasing its naval position in Indian Ocean, and this increase in the naval presence in the Indian Ocean is going to be through its blue water navy capabilities. Chinese have signed an agreement to set up naval facility in the Seychelles for counter-piracy operations. Earlier, China gave two vital surveillance aircraft to the Seychelles for this purpose under an existing defense support agreement arrived in 2004. Thereafter, there were two Chinese frigates that visited Seychelles and its naval hospital-ship Peace Ark in November 2010, and that all pointed out to the fact that China was cozying up to Seychelles. There is little doubt that anti-piracy operations in the region, especially of the Somalian coast and the Gulf of Aden, are required. But it has to be an international, not only to secure Chinese shipping lanes or merchant ships flying under its own flag and under the track that the Chinese have identified. Moreover, it gives China a strategic reach in this important part of Indian Ocean, which it can go on to use for the purpose of negating India's influence. A naval base of China can be a part of power projection not only for counter-piracy naval operations, but it can also be for thwarting any type of an attempt by India to control the whole of the region. China has since 2008 had been an important base for the Chinese for this power projection, and that has been in disguise. That means the facade is something else, China is doing something else. China's effort to secure military collaboration and support have been reported with the Maldivian government as well as Mauritius. What has happened in Maldives recently has been for everyone to know. That is, they have almost deposed our elected government and they have picked up a new government headed by some of them. And the way Supreme Court went on to restore the Nasheed government, that has been completely negated by the president of Maldives, Mr. Yamin. Now, there is little doubt in this case that the Chinese had been instrumental in doing it so. However, the most significant Chinese move have been to establish facilities in Gwadar deep sea port in Pakistan. And there is an obvious aim for trying to control the forces of Pakistan, and the entire of the traffic that goes on to be in the Hormuz Strait region. A Chinese strategic policy document issued in the 90s had said that is that diplomacy with the other countries in the Indian Ocean region is going to be on the anvil. And the diplomatic part is what China is offering to most of the countries. It has been on a buying spree of the ports, and it has also been on a variety of type of diplomatic offensives that the Chinese could have offered. It was mentioned explicitly, openly in that document that small countries with small militaries can be won over with free and low price military equipment supported with some amount of economic assistance, and also in getting bases and from any political dispensation thereafter from them will go on to become much more easy. Bases and friendship treaty in Indian Ocean rim countries is now a major strategy that endangers India's security interest, because it is in this manner that China is trying to encircle India from almost every angle possible. It aims encirclement of India with the southern ring and China's advancement in Indian Ocean towards African continent and petroleum rich areas are a concern that is now being voiced even by the international communities. The Indian Ocean strategy of China was first reported in 2004 and thereafter it has gone on to increase and increase. China's efforts to secure port facilities in Myanmar, but in Sri Lanka it has secured Hambantota. Hambantota is one of these ports that goes on to lie with it, and more recently it has done it with Djibouti as well. So in Indian Ocean, all in all, Chinese have a major presence at least in Gulf of Aden as well as in Hambantota. So there are three aspects, three places. One is Gwadar in the North Indian Ocean. Another is going to be Djibouti, that is essentially to counter the American threat that is in Socotra in that region, and the third is going to be in Sri Lanka. China is beginning to adopt a firm policy to have a number of military bases in the Indian Ocean, that is by assertion of its power projections in the whole of the region. China now considers that a war is possible and China must be prepared to win this war at all possible cost. Also, it is in this case that Chinese have been implicitly preparing themselves for any type of a war-like situation, because they will go on to strangulate a good number of countries and these countries cannot go on to react to any type of situation that the Chinese may go on to create.
In this context, how significant is the militarization of Indian Ocean?
Militarization essentially means that Indian Ocean used to be a region of peace. Peace means that the ocean was used for the purpose of the plying of the ships carrying petroleum, carrying essential products. Militarization means that this is a place where as part of the blue water navy capabilities, Chinese have their frigates, have their destroyers, have their naval ships, an entire fleet present in the region. India obviously is in the Indian Ocean, is the backyard of Indian Ocean, and United States accordingly. So just for anyone to think of it, there are four major powers who happen to be present in the region: United States, then China, India, and of course Russia in this place. The militarization of Indian Ocean poses a serious challenge to littoral countries, particularly those countries that go on to be lying along the coastal regions. These challenges are: first, India faces a perilous vulnerability to its littoral exclusive economic zone that is fraught with the spectrum of maritime asymmetric warfare or threats of increasing incidents of piracy, crime, maritime terrorism, narcotics, and light arms smuggling, which can go on to jeopardize any country's internal security. This has been a dense maritime domain for both the native and the alien military governments, with little amount of maritime governance that was needed and a little amount of maritime regulation that was also required. Second is India's second maritime littoral challenge and nightmare is the security of India's littoral sea of lanes communication, that we go on to calling it by the name of SLOC, that abounds the whole of Indian peninsula. Shipping in this domain ranges from fishing trawlers to super tankers as well to ultra large scale tankers. The intense shipping and poaching of the foreign trawlers in India's littorals and EEZ have wreaked the delicate environmental balance that used to exist in the Indian Ocean, and that was so diversified, being a tropical region, that now it is under real threat of sorts, both in Arabian Sea region as well as in Bay of Bengal region. Now, in an effort to encircle India and to control Indian Ocean and to find accessibility to all resources and to explore Africa, in pursuance of all of it, that is, encircle India, China is doing a lot of activities. In trying to encircle India, it has been trying to be cozying up with Myanmar's government, have been in talks with the Bangladesh government, having already taken Hambantota, and Gwadar is going to be there, and then in the Aden Sea and the Red Sea region, it always has a port that it has almost gained from Djibouti in that region. Seychelles is going to be in the southern part of it. Now, this is one way of encircling India. That's another way of controlling Indian Ocean as well. And it is in this method that it has been trying to find accessibility to oil resources. Now, once it goes on to be near to Gwadar, it is going to become easier for China to explore the whole of Africa. In pursuance to its effect, China is encircling India and Indian Ocean by building bases, having foothold in Sitwe, Somali, Seychelles, and that we have talked about now, Djibouti. China is engaged in building the prerequisites of the naval access and basing its maritime regions that are outside its water, so that it can go to spread its influence and explore new markets as well. And the revenue that it obtains by exploring these new markets can be used in a variety of ways. China envisages a three-island China maritime network evident in three concentric rings of its maritime domain of sea control, and that is essentially going to be one towards China, the second is going to be the island regions, and the third is going to be the sea lanes of communication. That means all the type of sea lanes through which Chinese can go on to take their goods and services anywhere. It is in this case that Hambantota is the key for China to breathe around India and also to control Indian Ocean.
How Hambantota is so significant for Indian Ocean?
Yes, Hambantota is China's pearl in Indian Ocean, and that is immensely important for several regions. The geostrategic location of Hambantota provides for China the most vital access to a natural harbour that could go on to bring in high sea shipping from South China Sea Straits of Malacca, Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea shipping, traversing the whole of the region into a berthing access to and also safe haven for the ships in Indian Ocean region.
Is it so that Hambantota is strategically so significant?
Yes. The strategic implications of Hambantota are many of them. One is Hambantota in its topographical profile is yet another deep natural harbour that could be converted into a multi-tier port which could host a surface Hambantota as military port that could be the next Gwadar for China. And that could offer Chinese naval warships the first port of call after the surge across the Strait of Malacca. That means after having crossed the Strait of Malacca and going into the Gulf of Aden, Hambantota will go on to offer safe refuge to the Chinese ships. Secondly, Hambantota could be the most ideal site for the Chinese to build multi-piers which could co-host civilian containers, oil tanker ships, and even military warships. Some time back, they did mention to send a naval ship and also a submarine into the Hambantota waters. And of course, on the protests of India, the Sri Lankans were hell-bent and compelled to issue almost like a warning signal to the Chinese in this case. Third has been that Hambantota would be a very powerful pearl in China's strings of pearls at an expanding network of Chinese extinctive facilities which are now strung from Woody Island in the Pyrenees of Henan, Sotwe, Coco Island and Chittagong. That means all of them comprising it will go on to make China a very strong contender in Indian Ocean. Fourth is Hambantota is located in the epicenter of this string and it overlooks the whole of Indian Ocean. That means any advantage that India has with respect to its navy, that will be easily negated by the Chinese presence in Hambantota. Fifth is Hambantota could offer berthing facility to limited forward presence and that is any of these type of ships, maybe military ships or container ships also, which can go on to belong to its friendly alliances. Sixth is that China's nuclear submarines movement in the region and its visit to Hambantota can go on to become a reality and routine when the port goes on to become fully operational. And all of these are going to be doubly disadvantages to the whole of the country.
It was an enlightening discussion in which the entire issue was simplified to a large extent. I, on behalf of entire crew and the Ensemble team, thank you, sir. Thank you, audience, for watching us. We'll be back soon with another episodes of Issues and Analysis. I hope you like this session. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you.